This is the big showdown at the Hockenheim Ring. The young shooting star against the old hand. Thomas Preining against Mikael Ammermuller. One aims to wrap up the title. The other hopes for another last-minute coup. Who will win the 2018 Porsche Carrera Cup? 2 races, 3 titles on the line. The championship has yet to be decided for the rookies and for the amateurs too. Thrilling action is guaranteed. The grand finale in the Porsche Carrera Cup. It is on. The Hockenheim Ring, 17 turns and 6 straights. The championship will be decided over these 5 tradition-steeped kilometers, and Tim Zimmermann will introduce us to the circuit.
So let's start the lap at Hockenheim Ring. That's the main straight. Shift up to 5th gear, down to 4th. Big jump here into the first corner over the curb. Be careful with the track limits. Up to 5th gear. Now braking at 150 meters. Be careful, there are a lot of bumps on the track. So you lock easily. And try to get a good exit out of turn 2. For the long straight, some days we have 270 k's on the straight to turn 3. Now hard braking down to 1st gear. Try to rotate the car as good as possible to get a good exit. Early back on power. Up to 5th gear. With new tires you can do it flat. Now hard braking again. Here every driver have actually their own line. I use the curb on the inside to rotate the car. Here try to get us most of the throttle out of the corner into the Motodrome. Good entry speed, good exit speed. Bit of oversteer there. Into the Sachs curve. Try to stay as close as possible on the white line on the apex. Now into the last 2 corners. Important to have a good balance there to get a good exit on the main straight. That was a lap with Tim Zimmermann at Hockenheim.
Crunch time for Thomas Preining, aged 20, Porsche Junior. The title is a must for him. He has a 27-point cushion over his rival, Mikael Ammermuller. But he is much more experienced. The former Formula 1 test driver and reigning Porsche Super Cup champion has nothing to lose and will go flat out for the victory. The young Austrian is under pressure. It's his to lose. Of course, subconsciously, I know I can seal the title tomorrow, but basically, I don't really care. I've come to Hockenheim because I want to win 2 races. Stay calm, but maintain focus. There are things you can prepare for. A lot has gone into it, a lot of work, a lot of preparation. Trust yourself and slip into your rhythm. When I got into the car, or back then the go-kart, close the visor, close the door. Then I've always been in my own world, fully focused on what really mattered. Thomas Preining and his balancing act this weekend. The last seconds before the start. In some ways, you're a bit tense or nervous. Your heart rate increases. But in the end, you have to be 100% focused and ready in these situations too. A victory would mean title glory for him, no matter where his teammate Mikael Ammermuller finishes. Then he would have arrived where everybody expects him to be, at the very top. But first he must achieve a good starting position in qualifying. The drivers at the Hockenheim Ring are fired up once again. Mikael Ammermuller tries everything, but pushes beyond the limit too often. Preining, though, is like a Swiss watch. The Austrian delivers when it matters, clinching poles number 10 and 11. Qualifying went very well here at Hockenheim. I'm very satisfied. It was probably one of the best laps I've had this year. Double pole. I had some more ideas about what we could do with the car for the last set of tyres, but we saved them for the race. I'm very satisfied. The last qualifying of the season on the high-speed track in Hockenheim makes the drivers push to their limits. Some of them pushing really rather too far. Jorn Schmidt-Stade is the best amateur in qualifying. He's billed as favourite for the title. Dylan Pereira finishes second, the best rookie, ahead of Jaap van Lagen, who will be starting from P3 on Saturday. On the grid for race 1 on Saturday, race 10. Thomas Preining, P1. He has 27 points more than Mikael Ammermuller, who can gain 25 points maximum. Dylan Pereira is P2. Now Dylan has to score points to secure the rookie title. Jaap van Lagen is on the grid on P3. However, the stewards found out that he didn't have the mandatory 2 kilograms of fuel after qualifying in his fuel tank. So maybe he is going to be disqualified. Mikael Ammermuller, only P4. His chances, therefore, are not really high. He cannot be satisfied with qualifying. In fairness, he cannot be satisfied with the season overall. So to the start of race 1, we await the lights out, and we go racing. Thomas Preining with a good start. Dylan Pereira slots in behind. Jaap van Lagen, though, on the outside of Dylan Pereira as they head in towards turn number 1. So this huge grid of Porsche Carrera Cup cars as we go on board with Mikael Ammermuller right next to Jaap van Lagen in the second corner. They make contact and Jaap van Lagen spins. Now, difficult to ascertain who was at fault there, but what we do know is that Jaap van Lagen ended up in the gravel. On board now with Larry ten Voorde, had a bad qualifying, starting from P7 behind his teammate Gustav Malja. The Swede with his best quali results so far. They go side by side and ten Voorde manages to put himself past Gustav Malja. On board with Tony Wolff now, gets close with Robert Lucas, but he is ahead of the Robert Lucas car. And now on board with Henrik Skoog, who is behind Eindcan Guven. But Henrik Skoog makes a mistake. He's on the grass, and that means that Tim Zimmerman is able to get past him. Skoog tries to get to the inside of Tim Zimmerman, as we can see through that splitter cam as Mikael de Quesada spins. Thomas Preining in front, already a big gap. Dylan Pereira is behind him, P2, followed by Mikael Ammermuller, P3. Then it's Larry ten Voorde, and that is Richard Wagner connecting with the wall. A huge impact into the wall there for Richard Wagner. So the car is hugely damaged at the front following that contact with the unforgiving concrete wall, and this is how it happened. Just lost the back end of the car, tried to correct, and in trying to correct, the car snapped the other way and propelled the Richard Wagner car into the wall. So that was off the final turn, the Sud-Curve, turn 16. Let's see it from being on board with Stefan Rakoff. So it was a huge impact, and Richard Wagner, though, is perfectly okay. Credit to the integral safety of these Porsche Carrera Cup cars. The safety car is called for, and let's hear from Richard Wagner. Unfortunately, the car has not survived. It's a shame, of course, if you have to finish the season like that. It was my fault, of course. I was just too quick. Too aggressive with the throttle. I lost control of the rear as a result. I tried to respond, and just at that moment it changed direction. Unfortunately, I had no chance to keep the car on the track, and then I ran over the grass and into the barrier. Time to look back then, and this is a slow-mo of the Mikael Ammermuller and Jaap van Lagen situation right at the opening of the race. Now, the touch between Mikael Ammermuller and Jaap van Lagen was sufficient to spin him around. And there was the touch from Mikael Ammermuller. We can see it from being on board with him. And Jaap van Lagen, unfortunately, is not able to continue in the race, whereas Mikael Ammermuller can. Of course, both drivers have different points of view. Ammermuller was too late on the brakes. His wheels locked, and he touched me, and then I spun. I was at the very back then. My bumper was loose, and I headed into the pits because it was pointless. If he had left me more space, he would have had no problem. He could have continued behind me. He would have finished as usual then. I left a bit of space, but not a lot. You usually can't overtake on the inside there, but his wheels locked and he touched me. That would normally get him a drive-through. So the restart then, the top five: Thomas Preining, Dylan Pereira, Mikael Ammermuller, Larry ten Voorde, Gustav Malja. At this point, Thomas Preining would be champion if everything stayed this way. On board with Jorn Schmidt-Stade, Carlos Rivas is behind him. Both, of course, are still fighting for the amateur championship. Schmidt-Stade makes a mistake. Rivas, though, cannot benefit. But one turn later, he is on the inside, and he does overtake Jorn Schmidt-Stade. Thomas Preining still in front, followed by Dylan Pereira, and Mikael Ammermuller is now under pressure from Larry ten Voorde, the Netherlands-based racer, as they head around the Parabolica and head up towards the hairpin. We stay on board with Larry ten Voorde. Ammermuller overtakes Dylan Pereira for P2. Larry ten Voorde also wants to join the party and pass and seems to make contact, and Dylan Pereira spins out. Let's take a look at the slow-mo of the same situation there. So ten Voorde on the inside, and there is contact between himself and Dylan Pereira, of course, does a complete 360, and that wrecks his chances of a podium in this race. Dylan Pereira loses a lot of positions. His bad luck, though, continues. The race director decides that Larry ten Voorde gets a drive-through penalty. On board with Henrik Skoog now, going for a move on Ayhancan Guven up the inside, but leaves his braking much too late. It's much too optimistic, and he spins. And on board with Stefan Rakoff as we look at the same situation, and Simonau is also in trouble as well. Very good avoidance there. Tony Wolff is in front of Zayed Ashkanani. Dylan Pereira trying to fight back. He will actually end up finishing P5. On board with Ayhancan Guven now, fighting hard with Robert Lucas, but Lucas manages to stay in front. And Ayhancan Guven, with all his efforts here, ends up with the car spinning and connects with the barriers, albeit very lightly. Super slow-mo of the same situation then. Here at the hairpin, dives up on the inside, collects quite a lot of curbs. The back end of the car gets loose and, well, then he's in the middle of a sandwich and just makes a connection with the barriers. The three Lechners look on then, a father and two sons, because Thomas Preining is going to win and secure his first career title. Everyone is happy. Preining in the car, the team in Parc Ferme are waiting, and of course on the podium it's Preining, Ammermuller and Gustav Malja with his first podium, and they're all presented with their trophies by Dr. Frank Stefan Walliser, the head of GT and motorsport at Porsche. Thomas Preining has made it Porsche Carrera Cup champion 2018. 11 poles, 9 victories. Hardly anybody has ever dominated the Superfast One-Make Cup like the 20-year-old Austrian has done this year. The first title in his career rounds off a double triumph for Lechner Racing, the Drivers and Teams Championship titles in 2018. Cool, I couldn't feel any better. I think I'm the happiest guy in the paddock today, so everything's perfect. Tommy is a cheerful person, so to speak. He hinted at his potential last year, and he has lived up to it this year. His championship year. P7 and P11, a very disappointing opener in Oschersleben. But he bounces back on his home track. He wins both races at the Red Bull Ring ahead of his teammate. Relief. He's 7/10ths clear of teammate Ammermuller in qualifying at the Nürburgring. A show of force. Preining is at another level altogether. He asserts himself again and again. Hard, but fair. It was like NASCAR racing in the car. My teammate hit me twice. I'm glad that I made it to the finish line. The Austrian takes the overall lead with aplomb and retains it. Preining withstands the pressure and lives up to expectations. I owe Walter a lot, and Robert too. The whole team, actually. They help me stay calm, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You need the calm, you need to stay on track, and then everything will work out. The Pro Championship is decided. This man, though, has come out on top in the amateur class, Jorn Schmidt-Stade. Yes, it's incredible, of course. Such an exciting race. So much was happening, so many crashes. And towards the end, my only thought was, just finish, calmly and serenely. See it home. Great feeling, yes. Gentlemen among gentlemen. Schmidt Stade in the battle with his biggest rival, this term, Carlos Rivas, the firebrand from Luxembourg. The latter wins at the Hockenheimring for the 7th time this season, but in the end, Schmidt Stade has been more consistent. Four victories and 4 second places means he wins the amateur title in his 2nd year. My goal was to learn in the first season and be competitive in our 2nd Carrera Cup season. And we've achieved that. And of course, I wanted to win the championship. That wasn't unrealistic. Growing as a racing driver, training is crucial, mentally, technically, and in terms of media. Besides the amateurs, the Carrera Cup provides an especially good platform for young drivers. The talent pool offers every driver under 23 important lessons on the way to a pro career in racing. A key factor for the rookies too. The fight for the Newcomers' Championship title has yet to be decided.
It's really close. Everyone is so close, so everything can happen. But you know, like I said, I want to do my job here. I'm not thinking too much about the rookie champion. Of course, this is the goal here.
Igor Valilko, 3 points short of Dylan Pereira. He was out of luck in the first race, but he wants to retain the overall lead against the pole in the 2nd race. I try to ignore the bad luck that I have had this season. I try to do my best, and let's see. The weather will also be an issue, with sun and rain. Nobody really knows. Let's just see. It's certainly going to be exciting. Many variables, but at the end of the day, it boils down to a simple point. Everyone has to do his best, and in the end, the best will win. It's race 2 day on Sunday. Thomas Preining's girlfriend wears a Pink Panther shirt. Preining again, pole position, 1 day after his big success. Walter Lechner Sr. talking to Mikael Ammermuller, who starts from P2, and wishing him luck. Dylan Pereira will start from P3. Good chances to become the rookie champion because Igor Valilko starts from P13. So the excitement begins to build ahead of the final race of the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship for 2018 in Germany as the lights go out now. Thomas Preining with a textbook start, and he puts himself ahead of Mikael Ammermuller as they head in towards turn number 1. On board with Larry ten Voorde starting from P7 today. He wants to bring the season to a good end and overtakes Gustav Mallier going through turn number 1. So the cars all heading towards turn number 2. Then it will be turn 3, 4 and on to the Parabolica. We're on board with Henrik Skoog as Sandro Kaibach crashes into him. So Kaibach with damage on his car will end up losing control, as you can see, and leaves the track. The field head for the hairpin then. Mikael Ammermuller goes side by side with Thomas Preining, but cannot overtake. On board with Mikael Ammermuller, now on board with Thomas Preining as Dylan Pereira just touches the side of the Mikael Ammermuller car as they exit the hairpin, turn number 6, and head down towards turn number 7. So it is Thomas Preining, Mikael Ammermuller, P1 and P2. On board action now, proving just how nice the one-make cup action is. Valilko is on the right-hand side, Jacob Eidson is on the left-hand side as the cars make their way towards the Motordrome. Fantastic onboard shot. So into the Motordrome we go. Valilko is fighting, of course, for the rookie championship. This Hockenheim circuit has 16 turns. 6 of them are left-handers, and this is one of them, turn number 8. As we almost touch Igor Valilko ahead of us. Now, Ertl spins for the 2nd time this weekend. Has to be said, Hockenheim doesn't seem to be his favourite racetrack. And then suddenly a huge crash. Jacob Eidson and Henrik Skoog crash into the wall. Both cars are pretty damaged. Jorn Schmidt Stade manages to pass. On board with Marius Nacken, you can see the debris all over the track. Huge impact. Safety car is deployed. Track marshals have to clear. This is going to take time. And no one at this point knows whether the drivers are okay. Team Project One, of course, are hoping for the best. Right at the top of your picture here, you can see Skoog and Eidson crash into the right wall, cross the track, and then make impact with the left wall as well. So the race is stopped. Cars and drivers have to stop on the start-finish straight. Teams will be allowed to check the cars and to do some small repairs. In the meantime, the track is going to have to be cleaned. The ambulance is there and it transports the drivers to the medical centre and afterwards to the hospital. But the very good news is that both drivers are perfectly okay. Walter Lechner talks to Thomas Preining. Sandro Kaibach will get a new front lip for the front of his car. So the team go to work on that car. And of course the cars of Idsen and Henrik Skog are removed and the race will continue. So race union in discussion there in the pit lane as the cars are on their way once again and racing resumes in the Porsche Carrera Cup, the final race of the 2018 season. Let's go on board now with Wolf. And Larry ten Voorde is getting very close. They're heading up towards the hairpin. And it's at this point, Larry ten Voorde all over the back of the Wolf car. Wolf, though, makes a braking mistake. You can see the smoke from the lockup. And that means that Larry ten Voorde is able to pass. It's nicely done by the young Netherlands-based racer. I was coming from the outside and made a move. I wanted to go on the inside and he got frightened. You know, no ABS, and if you feel you might lose control under braking, you lock your wheels. So he went straight on. He regained control well, so he didn't hit the guys in front of him. That was quite close, but my manoeuvre was successful this way. We're on board with Stefan Rakoff now, behind Jorn Schmid-Stade, who is to the outside, as you can see. We are on the inside, but being on the inside means that we crash into Marius Nacken. Now, Stefan Rakoff escapes up the road. Let's go on board with Marius Nacken, who's minding his own business, going around the hairpin. And Bosch, there is the contact. So Marius Nacken spun around. We do have a tracker camera right in the middle of that hairpin, and from that camera, there you can see the contact was pretty sizable on the number 14 car of Marius Nacken. This is Wolf, and Vililko is behind. The pole does overtake him, but Dylan Pereira seems to be really rather too far away. Now, Stefan Rakoff picked up some damage. Sandro Kaibach is behind him. They make contact now, and Rakoff spins. Carlos Rivas cannot avoid the crash. Both can go on. Carlos Rivas second in the Amateur Championship. Stefan Rakoff third. At the front of the field, Preining, Ammermuller, Pereira and ten Voorde very close, and Larry ten Voorde attacks now. Tries to get next to Dylan Pereira, and it's on the inside, but on the outside is the next turn. So, on this occasion, the attack has failed, but Larry ten Voorde is still close. And this time, is he going to make it? Is it going to be P3 in the last lap? Absolutely side by side, Larry ten Voorde and Dylan Pereira. And as you can see, ten Voorde is on the outside now. Pereira has got the inside, and Larry ten Voorde is not able to maintain the momentum, but he is all over the back of Dylan Pereira, just urging Dylan Pereira to make the tiniest of mistakes. As they head into the final sequence of turns, they're heading into turn number 11 now. Larry ten Voorde on the inside of Dylan Pereira. He does manage to go through. He was alongside me at the exit to the Mercedes Arena. I could have tried on the outside, but I said to myself, okay, the Rookie Championship has priority. Let him pass. He finished third. It's a pity, but it is as it is. On board with Mikael Ammermuller in the final turns then, as Thomas Preining is heading for yet another win. In fact, it will be his 10th time of being victorious this season. So they round the final two turns here at the Hockenheim Ring. It is Thomas Preining leading, Mikael Ammermuller over the line. 10th win goes the way of Thomas Preining. He weaves from side to side, locks up the tyres. Larry ten Voorde takes P3. The Lechners are very happy in the pit lane. And big thumbs up from all three of them. And some supreme donuts from Thomas Preining. Exactly what we like to see. Play up to the crowd, Thomas Preining. You've done everything in the season to deserve that moment of chucking the car around. Brilliant stuff. Thomas Preining then inside the car. Thomas Preining's girlfriend is pretty happy. The Lechner Racing team, of course, are very, very happy. He parks up alongside Mikael Ammermuller and celebrates the fact that he's taken 10 victories on his way towards the championship. And having sealed the championship, 10 wins. It's a dominant performance. However, his teammate, Mikael Ammermuller, has done his best and pushed him all the way. Actually, I'm not satisfied. It would have been better to finish first, but no matter what I do, I cannot go faster. So I just have to be satisfied. I don't know why Preining can be so much faster. You know, I can't. So it's my limit. I didn't make any mistakes. The team provided me with a superb car. I don't know where you can be faster. So I'm satisfied with second place. Trophy for Thomas Preining. A very good season after a horrible start in Oschersleben. The boss is very happy. What's really extraordinary is his consistency. You can absolutely rely on him. You know beforehand he'll seal the pole and he won't get distracted by success. He repeats it, and that's really impressive. That's it for this year. We will see Thomas Preining again. The question is, in what role? Next step is the WEC and the Porsche RSR at Fuji and Shanghai.